I wasn't upset about the red one because red really would be nice, and and the kids really like red and all, and like nag you and manipulate you into changing your mind. Not like that.
Sometimes though it is hard to submit because sometimes you will not agree with the decision that's being made.
Sometimes your husband will buy a $20,000 truck.
Buy that truck. So this is an ongoing story in our family. Mark went with a young man who was living with us at the time, and I think Nathaniel. And they went over to the car dealership and were looking at trucks.
4-wheel drive truck.
I'm not really sure why that all happened, but next thing I know, Mark shows up in the front yard, like literally right in front of the door, with the truck. And
she was trying to sign to me, and I'm looking at her like,
Mark doesn't know the sign language. He's got
no habla.
So Mark shows up in the front yard with this truck, and he says, "This is the coolest truck. We should buy this truck." Yeah, and I was like, "Do we really need a truck? Well, we could go to the dump with it." Okay.
Major selling point for trucks.
Can we afford the truck? Well, yeah, we could do this, this, and this, so we can afford the truck.
You can sell some.
If you think that we need a truck, then okay.
The payment will be under $300.
Okay.
It's $335.19.
And
you even remember numbers. See, he remembers this conversation, but he does not remember what we had for dinner. Well, actually, he probably does remember what we had for dinner tonight.
I wrote the payments for 5 years.
So, it was one of those that I gave him input. I asked him questions, and then I dropped it. And I didn't say anything else about the truck or the payments. Like, it wasn't every month like, okay, let's pay that truck payment again. Okay, honey. Like, I didn't do any of that. It was just, okay, this is what he's done. We bought a truck. He bought that truck. We drove that truck. We ended up selling that truck and have not gotten in debt with the truck again.
We haven't been in debt since.
Yeah, we sold that truck and our house around the same time. And that was 11 years ago. A little over 11 years ago. Mm-hmm. We've been out of debt since then.
April 12th, 2009.
Being out of debt is great.
Yeah.
Told you like
nothing. A long time.
So being so that's another way to submit is sharing your side of the discussion, and that should be healthy conversation with your spouse. Like, it's another thing you should work on is healthy conversation and being able to have those tough. Or someone awake? Being able to have those tough discussions, but also then being able to just say, okay, so that's what it is, and then drop it. Being able to drop stuff. That's one thing. We keep working on things. We keep working on things with the girls while they're still in the house, and that's one of the things that I've told them that they need to learn being a spouse. Whether I have to teach this to my boys too, because this isn't just a girl thing, but being able to give your side of the discussion and then drop it and not keep bringing it up. Whether it be for boys or girls, you can probably leave that open so we could hear them. Sure. There's no noise in there. So, anyway, yeah, submission, willingly putting yourself in that place. So, please don't. You're gonna have a singing fiddler on the roof. What else do you have to say about this?
I was just gonna say, not in the church at large, not demeaning girls who are planning for marriage, or telling them, "You're 17, you're too young to get married. Don't talk about those things."
Have you heard that before? She hears this a lot.
Oh, you're too young to get married. It's like, okay, but just think about preparing for it ahead of time, because I shouldn't wait until I reach whatever the
Nobody finds
age
it wrong when the 10-year-old boy has decided he's going to be a doctor and he's going to pursue that for the rest of his life.
Or when the 17-year-old girl has dated 4 different boys but isn't getting married.
Right. That too. But no, I was going to say about 10-year-old boy saying he wants to be a doctor, pursuing that for his whole life. Great job. You're doing so good, staying focused on your goals and everything.
Especially being a baseball player.
Girl says, I want to get married. I want to be a wife and a mommy. And it's, why would you work so hard for that goal? Why don't you do something else just in case that doesn't work out for you? Mm-hmm. You don't tell the kid looking to be a doctor. You're not like, you know what, maybe you should study to be an auto mechanic in case that doctor thing doesn't happen.
When was it that I was writing about this? I was, what, 14?
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago, and
When
I was
the
already...
article they published.
I was already worried about this. Like, you guys stop telling me that I shouldn't be preparing for marriage.
So Virginia has been preparing, and whoever comes to Daddy to ask for Virginia, like for a courtship, to get to know her, Virginia has a long list of questions.
I think it was 115 when I looked at it, but I had at least one more to add.
They're not, some of them are not terrible questions, like, would you ever consider living in a camper? Is one of them on the list. But there also are questions on, what do you think about baptism? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can name a couple of these questions, right?
I think the first question is, what is your opinion on this?
Okay, the first question is lengthy.
Major
Most of
points
them
theology.
are shorter. Yeah, but most of the questions are, what are your thoughts on women pastors?
Please
What are-
provide scriptural support.
please submit your 50-page thesis by Friday. What are your thoughts on head coverings? What are your thoughts on men and women's roles? Like those types of things. But they are things she has thought out. They are things that we have seen have been a problem in other people's relationships, that they've gotten too far into a relationship and then a certain topic comes up and it has never been discussed, and they are so far into the relationship that they're not willing to say, you know what, our beliefs don't agree here, and we can't be in a God-honoring marriage if this is going to be a point of contention in it.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, but just the point of not discouraging young women who are pursuing marriage, because it's all too common, and trying to be the encouraging one that's encouraging them to be content in singleness, but still be pursuing marriage and seeing it as a good thing, and not, oh, just don't worry about it. That'll happen later.
Because you're okay waiting on God's time. You hope that God doesn't wait too long for that. But I think in any situation, people feel that way. Like, oh, we want to have a baby. I hope God doesn't wait 15 years to bless us with one. But I'm going to be content in whatever that timing is for God. But it's okay to long for something.
To desire good things.
To desire good things and to not want to have to wait forever for them. But to be impatient and not content in that waiting is the problem. So
We're not using the time given, like specifically about waiting for children. What are you doing to prepare yourself to be a parent? What do you know about pregnancy?
Mm-hmm.
This is the discussion we were having today. If you want to get married, it's highly likely you're going to be pregnant at some point in your life.
because the Bible also talks about children being a blessing, and so that would discourage birth control because you're saying, God, don't give me a blessing. So yeah, you'd be pregnant.
But
usually
not just knowing your thoughts on it, but so most of those women who desire to marry also end up being pregnant. Most of them end up having children that live. What do you know about child development? What do you know about the stages of pregnancy? What do you know about, have you ever been there when someone delivers a baby? Have you ever, are you preparing your, yes they have. Yeah, they held the other cameras. Anyway, what are you doing to prepare yourself? If you say you want to be a lawyer, you're going to be watching debates, you're going to be reading those law cases, you're going to be contacting people, you're going to be involved in certain things. If you say, I want to get married, what are you doing to prepare for that?
Right.
Do you prepare for that like you prepare for nursing school? You know, even before you go to school, you start learning things, right?
But people discourage you from doing that and say you should be spending your time doing something else, not just preparing yourself for marriage.
Our culture kind of views marriage as, and even church people will view it as, the right man will come along at some point. You don't really need to be waiting or preparing. You just need to know when that right guy comes along.
But if you knew somebody was going to deliver you, $1 million in gold or whatever it was, you'd want to prepare a place and make sure it was taken care of and cleaned up and secure
Get
and all that
security
kind of stuff.
Security cameras.
Buy some, like you prepare yourself for it because it's a huge investment. It's something worthy of being protected, not to be cherished. So you do more than just, you don't walk into it lackadaisically like someone saying, hey, would you like an ice cream or not? Like you can walk into that discussion, oh yeah, I guess I'll have an ice cream. Like, are you prepared to receive the President of the United States for dinner tonight? Well, let me go get something.
give me a couple hours.
Right.
I'm going to grandma.
But yeah, knowing what the scriptures say about marriage and what marriage is, and then what is your role in marriage. So I'm going to say right here, Vodi Bakum has a very good sermon series on this. I don't remember what it's called.
Marriage by Design?
Marriage by Design.
There's that one, yeah, but
You can get
it's
it from
called
North
something
Point.
else on.
I know you can get it from North Point Resources.
Okay, Vodi Bakum, Voddie, Bakum, Baucham, and his marriage series. Any of his marriage things
by Design
are really, really good. So, yeah, those are all.
and
She's trying to
real.
find them.
They're real. They're honest and thoroughly biblical.
It talks about what a wife must be, what he must
What
be.
he must be, what she must be.
One of those things, first thing on Virginia, maybe not the first thing on Virginia's list, but the most important thing, if anyone is going to court Virginia, is that the man actually believe, like, be a Christian, a godly man.
Genuine Christian.
Because that's what marriage is between a godly woman and a godly man to be a godly couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're looking for.
Is it Love and Marriage?
Love and marriage.
That one.
I think you did it that way too.
So
Yes.
there's a couple, so we will find it to put on there. But yeah, using your time to become the person you want to be in marriage. Because you don't just become a world-class pitcher by sitting around and doing nothing. So,
But evidently you do become the world's cutest baby.
well, you could do that by just sitting around and doing nothing. So this is the problem. We forget what we talked about when we have a cute baby in our.
Sorry,
So
what were
girls
you-
have something else about talking about marriage and how the church demeans marriage and the role of motherhood. Because all of these things we've been discussing tonight are things that we've discussed with the girls before. None of this came as a surprise to the girls as we've been sitting here talking. They're not like, really? That's what marriage is about? Like, we have those discussions at least once a week. Sometimes more often, like we have friends that are getting married next Saturday, so a week from now. So more discussions have come up recently as we've been watching someone else walk through courtship. We have other friends that got married a couple months ago. So that definitely brings up new conversations. Friends dating new people and stuff like that bring up conversations. So, and then whenever we know someone's having a baby, that brings up new baby conversations and new parenting conversations. Right?
Yeah. Just being the encouraging person to encourage women in biblical femininity and not being the voice that's bought into the culture that it's something to be frowned upon when women are serving in the home.
Mm-hmm. So, what are 5 practical things you can be doing within the home? Not like, oh, I want to go study this thing, but what are 5 things you can be working on in the home? Like actual, like hands-on. Not just, I'm going to read that book about what pregnancy is about, but 5 things you can be doing while you're here at home to prepare yourself for marriage, house, children, those types of things.
One thing I'm doing is doing my
All your
schoolwork
answers
because
first.
I'm going to be a homeschool mom. So I'll have to teach my children something, so I should probably actually know something first.
That's a very good point. Good job. Good job. And some of these moms that we know that we watch on YouTube or we're friends with and stuff like that actually had like degrees in big things. I only went to school for 1 year before I got married and had Virginia, became a mom. And so I never went back to school. After that point, I actually became a mom first to Nathaniel, who moved in with us immediately upon getting married. So I only did the 1 year of college, but I actually know some homeschool moms who went on for 4 or even more years of schooling to be able to be big things. We were just talking about one who was a lawyer before she started homeschooling. So I'm not saying to go off to do all that schooling, because I think all of those moms would say that being a wife and mom is more important than any of those other career aspirations they had. But
I was just thinking that.
don't feel like you're wasting career racing home.
Oh, definitely. What I was thinking was much more silly. I was just thinking if Bill Cosby and Barack Obama and whoever else can be bestowed honorary doctorates,
Oh yeah.
then you should have at least your honorary doctorate in like education.
Considering I've not graduated 2.
You've not graduated 2. You're like you have a lot of years of experience.
Yeah.
In teaching.
You graduated 2 and that's a quarter of your students already. So
There might be more.
I know currently.
Yeah.
Is this pregnancy nurses?
No, not
I mean,
pregnancy.
I mean, these ones don't even really count as homeschool students yet. They're disciples, but not homeschool students.
Right. They're not doing their letters yet. Not
Come
yet.
on,
He's
Slacker.
sleeping.
Although Uriah isn't like he's not even 3 yet.
He knows
You
all
don't-
his letters.
You don't sit and teach him his letters, but he knows his letters and his numbers.
Uriah's crazy smart.
He
So-
is kind
And he
of
made
Anyway.
apple crispy in the woods today.
Yes, watch the Apple Crispy video. It's very cute.
I had to go get the camera. He was being adorable.
So your kids learn just by watching you, because I have never shown Uriah how to make apple crispy, whatever that is. But he did a lot of the things that he watches mommy do in the kitchen, of putting stuff in the oven and
Made a
doing his
salad,
beep
too.
beep beeps and making his salad.
I don't know where you got the beep 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 from though, because you guys never use a timer.
But those are all the things that he's watched us do that I haven't specifically sat and taught him. Like he's never put anything in or out of the oven. There was that one time he touched the oven and had a burn, and we took care of that.
He wasn't
but
supposed to do
I've
that.
never done that since.
but he was not listening to the rules, and found out that not listening to the rules can be painful. But yeah, kids watch what they see around them. But what I was saying before you said that about the honorary doctorate
Sorry.
is don't feel like you're wasting your career by deciding to stay home. Because I know women who have said, but I spent all this money doing school and stuff, and it would really help my family if I worked because I can make more money, those types of things. But that is nothing compared to the love and attention and wealth you can give your kids by staying home with them. So.
And another thing I can be doing to prepare for marriage, this is my second thing, is helping take care of the babies and the little ones. Learning how to deal with children and like infants, toddlers, things like that.
You can keep going since you started first. You get all of them, she can't repeat you. So.
What?
Gotta get
She
thinking.
is older. She should have the longer list.
That's right.
Another thing is like learning how to cook and clean the house and taking care of the household.
Well, that was like 5.
Okay, you've got them.
You're done.
Oh.
Learning how to cook. Learning how to cook involves me showing the skills that I know, allowing her to just be in the kitchen, doing her own recipes and stuff like that, and showing how to deal with disappointment when you burn the recipe or it doesn't turn out how you want, or it boils over and makes a huge mess, and how to...
These people don't use timers. I have to use timers.
But how to deal with those frustrations that come in everyday life with how, trying to provide for your family, taking care of the kids, and watching the food boil over and making a huge mess. Those types of things.
And singing.
So-
Yeah, breakneck volume the entire time.
All of that is showing my children, hopefully, more of what Christ looks like through how I react to those things that happen, so that they can see through those things. Okay, go ahead.
Well, one I was just going to say was prayer.
I'm gonna pray that my food doesn't boil over. Okay.
Yes. Well,
Don't
maybe
more
you
than
need
prayer.
a timer. 2 is just spending time in Bible study and learning more about theology, that sort of thing. Am I allowed to take kids?
You have to say something different than she said.
Different.
You can say it in a different way.
Yeah, you need to be prepared spiritually for marriage too.
For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers,
And you have to learn Bible.
against the causes, powers, of this present
And you
time.
need to learn Bible verse signs.
These
Not
weren't-
real science.
This wasn't
It's
real
not
science.
real
Not real
science.
science language.
Just being a keeper at home and mothering things.
Things like plants, shoes.
I was
I'm
mothering
my
that bucket
shoes.
the other day.
Oh, okay.
Like sleeping babies and awake babies and grumpy babies. And what was that, 4? Then 5. Thinking about marriage and not being caught off guard.
She looked right at me when she said that.
Do you need him to think more about marriage?
Don't be caught off guard when
Is
you're
this a
already married.
recruiting
for 18
video?
No, it's
I'm
not.
thinking with Dustin, is this thing a weapon?
Oh yeah, and you can go watch Smarter every day.
We have all kinds of things we can. We've already done one of those. Here's sort of what we like to watch. I mean, what we like to use resources. So yeah, so I guess that's our video tonight. We just wanted to encourage people who are on the, like, they are stay-at-home moms, they are stay-at-home wives, that you're doing a really important job. And there's not a better mission field that you can be working on. Because there are people who will, like, it used to be very popular in the 1800s and stuff for people to go, I'm going to be a missionary in Africa. My wife and I are going to go, and we're going to leave our kids in boarding school here in England. And you were losing out on so much by abandoning your children to go be a missionary somewhere else when you're a missionary in your own home to your children. But then also to encourage churches to think differently about how you treat the wives and mothers and the soon-to-be wives and mothers in your church by making them feel that their job is lesser than when they're doing a task that is more kingdom building, or can be, if you encourage them and give them the tools to do that, can be more kingdom building than most of the jobs that the men in your church have. So we, as a society, as a church group, have let the men off the hook to not teach their families, and let the women off the hook to not be keepers at home and teaching their kids. We've said, don't worry, the church will do that. We got a Sunday school program. We got a youth group program.
We go to Christian school.
Yeah, we got a Christian school. You leave it to us.
You don't
We're
have to do
the
nothing but just
experts.
keep putting money in that plate.
And don't
Did I say
expect
Yes.
men to stand up and be the leaders of their home. And they don't expect women to sit and submit to their husbands and be willing to be the weaker vessel that the Bible tells us we are, because God has given us such an important job that it's okay. I'm saying this for myself because I know this is hard, but it is okay to say, I can't do this by myself, and I need my husband to help me with the teaching, like the spiritual teaching of the children and things like that. God has made us unique from men so that God can be glorified in that, so that we can show a picture of Christ in the church through our marriage, of our husbands being that picture of Christ to his bride, the church, and us being the bride that will submit to our husband. And most church people would say, yes, as a Christian, I need to submit to Christ, but would say that a wife does not need to submit to her husband, but we're supposed to be picturing the bride of Christ to Christ. So that makes no sense. You can't be both ways. You can't say it should happen in one but not happen in the other. So anything else we need to add to this? I mean, there's probably a lot we could talk about, but the baby's squirming in my arms. So
If they want to hear more from you ladies, they can just let us know. That,
yeah, if you have
hey,
more
we
questions.
want more ladies only videos or questions, that's totally fine. Whatever you guys want to do. I'm much happier to be able to do this than some of the scramble we were doing for the live stream. So we're adjusting for our family to make this work.
Yeah, and if you have specific questions for any family member, let us know, and we will put them on camera. Even the little kids, they love being on camera. So let us know if you've got questions.
Oh, if you have questions for our kids.
They'll talk
questions
your
for
ear
him.
off.
If you want to
He
ask
won't
Uriah
answer.
how to make apple crispy.
He might
I
not
did put
answer
the
because
video
he's
up.
shy.
And his salad video as well.
Yes.
So
He was
Yeah.
cooking.
So that's what we got tonight. But let us know if you like this video. Thumbs up, subscribe, ding the bell. I don't know, whatever the stuff is down here. And we will see you guys next time.